Hello and welcome to part 1 of the final project for New Media and New Literacies. My name is Shaun Hoppel and I'm partnered with Todd Jones. I'll be presenting the first part, and at the end of my segment will be a link to Todd's part. I will be discussing a faculty guide and best practices for use of audience polling in large lecture courses. As an example, I will be dealing with the specific software Top Hat Monocle and its use in a large physiology lecture. I've set up a sample course here, PGY 451, which would be an example of an upper-level physiology course. This is a team-taught course and has multiple instructors. I, as course coordinator, would like to add some extra elements beyond the traditional lecture experience to engage the students. This class has been pre-built in conjunction with the company Top Hat Monocle. I would recommend to faculty to look into these systems, and that there's very little work that they'll have to do in order to get these systems up and running. The company handles most of the back end, and when it's time for you to be involved, it would look similar to this, where the course has already been constructed. On this screen, there are a lot of demos and questions that are already in progress. We'll go through one by one, and at this point I'm going to actually collapse these, and we'll deal with them one by one. On the side panel here on the left is basically your control panel. It gives you some general settings, course packs, presentation tools, which allow you to actually download an add-in that sits on top of PowerPoint so that you could launch your questions during lecture, and also a link to the grade book. All submissions that the students make are automatically uploaded to this grade book, and it works seamlessly with the grade books that exist in learning management systems such as Blackboard or Angel. Here under the questions section, you can add a new question, which is this add item button here, and select if you would like to do multiple choice, short answer, mathematical equation. There are all kinds of different types of questions. There's a control panel for each individual folder and question. We look here, GI, or gastrointestinal physiology, as taught by Dr. Hudson. If we expand this folder, we'll see there's a number of questions that have been pre-built to be asked during the GI section. Right now they're all in a review status. That's what the open book with a lock means. If we're to click on the options here, we can launch the question, which would be appropriate to do during lecture. We may make it visible, which means it's active on the screen when the students log in, but they cannot submit answers. We could leave it in a review status, or we could preview or edit the question. If we make the question active and visible, it will appear on this main screen. You'll see it here, GI question 1. When we expand, it will automatically start a timer, in this case a 40-second timer. The students can now submit answers. As you can see here, in this example, 171 students have submitted answers to this question. They would use either texting or a web interface. If they're using a web interface on a device such as an iPod, an iPad, or a laptop, they would see exactly what we're seeing here. If they were to text in their answer, they would text this number plus their answer choice to the full number that's listed here. At the end of the timer, the question will deactivate automatically. At this point, you can show the correct answer and discuss it briefly in class before resuming your lecture. The other interesting facet of Top Hat Monocle is their demos feature. Here is an example of a demo on action potential. This could be assigned as homework or can just be a reflective exercise that is used for review before an exam. These demos are created in conjunction with the folks at Top Hat Monocle. Basically, the faculty member would describe what they would want in an ideal diagram, and the graphic artists and technicians at Top Hat Monocle will design it. This is a free service, and they do not charge for it, but the major caveat is that they will retain intellectual property rights for the demonstrations that they create. They will also share them for other professors to use. For example, this action potential demo did not originate from the University at Buffalo, but we find it to be a very good demonstration of the goals, the learning transfer goals of action potential. So we use it in our class as well. In summation, this software specifically would be an excellent way to engage the classroom and transform a traditional lecture experience into one that is using emerging technologies to engage the students in a different way. Just through my own personal observations, this has drastically increased attendance because we have decided to actually work participation using audience polling into the rubric of the course grade. In addition to the effects on attendance, it also seems to actively engage what could otherwise be described as a boring lecture format, where students could actually fall asleep in the middle of class. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8 a.m., it's hard to keep the students awake, let alone motivated. This forces them to actually move around, pull out their laptop, think about something, perhaps engage in small discussion regarding the question, and ultimately submitting an answer without necessarily taking away from the flow of lecture. It takes about 5 minutes between launching the question, giving them time to submit, and reviewing the answer before you can resume your normal lecture pace. So if you were to click on this link that should appear on the screen now, you'll be able to access Todd's portion of the project, where he will be talking about using apps to engage the back channel and to engage in collaborative discussion.